Well, good afternoon. I trust you all had time to enjoy your lunch, except for those who are watching us on webcast. I'm Larry Rochas, CEO of Copernicus Interactive, Inc. We've invited you here today to learn of several new Internet opportunities available to all students, teachers, and parents. New opportunities that point to the future of education. Frankly, none of us at Copernicus can tell you what the future of education will be, but we're convinced that the way it is delivered will transform education as we know it today. Through the Copernicus Education Gateway, education will never be the same. Imagine a place called K-12, where students can step through a gateway into a world of infinite possibilities. While some explore life on Mars with NASA, others are guided by Smithsonian's experts along Lewis and Clark's trail across America. And still others interact with USA Today journalists on major news stories around the globe. Students learn reading, math, science, literature, thinking, and practical skill needed to live effective lives, such as how to study, how to manage their money, how to prepare for college, and how to avoid drug and alcohol abuse. Through that same gateway, teachers post homework assignments for students and parents to retrieve at any time of day or night. Busy parents can use that same gateway to receive an automatic email whenever a new assignment is given, and even help their children with electronic flashcards. Even more startling is the fact that as we enter the year 2000, Copernicus is available, actually available, to all students, teachers, and parents. I invite each one of them to experience this exciting new resource, free of charge. By year end, nearly 10% of the public and private school students across America will have access to customized Copernicus communities. In addition to the rich resources found on the National Copernicus community sites, these customized online communities will contain educational resources of local interest to every student, every teacher, and every parent of that community. This is due in part to a grant by Visa USA. Today, we are happy to announce that that grant will help create customized Copernicus communities in school districts within 10 of the nation's largest cities: Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Miami, New York City, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. As these 10 districts join the Los Angeles Unified School Districts and other Copernicus communities already operational, nearly 5 million students will be able to access their own customized Copernicus community sites from their schools, from their homes, libraries, and classrooms, computer labs, or wherever else the Internet access is available to them. These customized community sites can contain information and resources that have been added by local school teachers and administrators. It's been said that researchers believe the K-12 audience is the largest potential Internet audience anywhere. More than 50 million students, their parents, and the millions of educators and school administrators needed to serve them. Copernicus is now ready for any school district, any school, any classroom, any parent in the United States to use, complete with a guided tour, rich educational resources, and available free to anyone. Simply put, the comprehensive range of resources that Copernicus offers to these audiences has never collectively been available before. In addition to the rich resources in Copernicus, it is also community-friendly. Each individual public and private and parochial school, down to the individual classroom, can customize material to its own needs, community interests, and learning standards, without the need to know computer programming. We refer to this as our open model. The local school or district can expand the content Copernicus provides to include its own important local information and resources linking administrators and educators more closely with students and parents. We spent one entire year thoroughly testing this program at the Peninsula School District in Washington State to assure that what we knew was a good idea was also practical and met the highest needs of educators. This pilot test allowed us to refine our delivery system. You will hear more about this from a presentation later in our program, and we can now say it's ready for any student, educator, or parent. More than a dozen corporate partners and organizations have already joined with Copernicus, including the Smithsonian Institute, Encyclopedia Britannica, the U.S. Department of Education, USA Today, 21st Century Teachers Network, as well as Visa and Voyager Expanded Learning. You will hear more about them as we move forward with our presentation. These, as well as other partners and alliances, are providing content, funding, and expertise that elevate Copernicus over any other program available today. By bringing a number of institutions to Copernicus, we're able to offer resources that educators and students have never been able to access before. The Copernicus Education Gateway will allow educators and students to experience exciting learning opportunities that would have previously required searching hundreds of internet sites. Now they can do it quickly and effectively and spend the time learning even more. And while we are exceedingly proud of these relationships, perhaps the most powerful statement about Copernicus and proof of the program's effectiveness is that educators, students, and parents who are introduced to Copernicus use it and love it. During the pilot test, for example, we found students often logged on 5 times every day from school and home. We're intensely aware that the use of Copernicus can elevate the quality of education so dramatically that those that do not have access to it are at a decided disadvantage. In that regard, I'd like to announce that we've undertaken 2 initiatives designed to give every student that same opportunity. The first initiative is the creation of the Copernicus Foundation. We know that not all schools have necessary computer hardware and software and connectivity to the internet. Through the Copernicus Foundation, we will provide select needy schools with the necessary means for them to gain access to the internet. And to assure that the Copernicus Foundation accomplishes this mission, we've recently named a highly qualified individual to be in charge, who won't let anything get past him, and he's proven it time and time again in front of millions of people. As our Vice President for Community Relations and head of the Copernicus Foundation, Mike Singletary, who unfortunately could not join us today, has agreed to this position. As many of you know, Mike is a former Chicago Bears linebacker, 10 times Pro Bowl choice, a member of the Football Hall of Fame, and a team captain of the Chicago Bears for 10 years. But what makes Mike our proud choice goes far beyond the playing field and athletics. Mike is committed to the good of children, a former Father of the Year, recipient of the Bart Starr Award for High Moral Character, the Whizzer White Award, NFL Man of the Year. He's the spokesperson for Child Abuse Prevention Services, as well as for such organizations as Just for Youth and the Lawndale Community Center for Underprivileged Children. We are delighted to have Mark as part of the Copernicus team. The second initiative relates to our recently completed investment to translate a key component of Copernicus into Spanish. School Notes is the first easy-to-use facility for teachers to post homework assignments to the internet and other class information, and for students and parents to access that information. School Notes is used in over 4,000 schools across the United States. 5,000 new teachers in the month of September alone have registered for Copernicus School Notes. This month, School Notes was translated and is now exclusively available in Copernicus in the language of Spanish. Other languages will be added in the future, as we are committed to, wherever possible, making Copernicus Education Gateway available in multiple languages. Frankly, it's tough being an educator or a parent today. We're asking more and more of educators. And many parents, many of them single, are struggling to find time to stay involved with their children's education. Copernicus brings educators and parents closer together in partnership in their children's education. We see this closer educator, parent, child partnership as one of the major advantages of Copernicus. All research indicates that when parents are more involved in the child's learning, the child is more successful. Yet our society makes it difficult for parents to remain involved. Copernicus can help make that involvement happen and in turn make students successful. We're pleased that you've joined us today, here online and through our webcast, to learn firsthand about the Copernicus Education Gateway, www.edgate.com. We believe that you will find this as exciting as we do, and that you will also conclude that education will never be the same. Now I'd like to turn the program over to Jim Vennard and Dick Nangal. Jim is a co-founder of Copernicus and manages our strategic partners and organizational alliances. Dick, who is also a co-founder of Copernicus, has more than 20 years' experience in developing information technology programs and is in charge of the training and support programs we provide to schools when they join Copernicus. Together, Jim and Dick will take you through a site and actually show you how Copernicus works. Jim and Dick.
Well, Dick and I are credited as co-founders, but I'd like to take the few moments that I have in this agenda to tell you about the story behind the story of the founding of Copernicus, because it's unique. Copernicus was not developed in some corporate laboratory. The remarkable irony is that the roots of all this are in a small, innovative school district in Washington State, in schools like Henderson Bay High, an alternative school for kids who were displaced from the educational mainstream. Ironically, those students teamed with their teacher champions to create the roots of what became the Copernicus solution. It's a remarkable story. It is in ways like this that Copernicus has emerged as somewhat of a Cinderella company. No big corporate budgets, not a single paid ad to date. And yet this grassroots movement is already enabling schools across the nation, touching every economic and social strata, to gain the advantages of technology in the classroom, the advantages of technology in life. And that's something that we're passionate about. That's something that we are excited to see happening. It's not a solution that's being pushed into the classrooms. This is about enabling those who do education in the classrooms every day. And so from this grassroots movement, Copernicus has now emerged as the leading K-12 portal community worldwide, with more than 25,000 teachers registered to date and nearly 5,000 schools enrolled for customized education gateways. These numbers are very significant. I want to make certain that you understand what we mean by education gateways. What we're referring to by education gateway is the start page, the starting point and the connecting place for educators and students who are going onto the internet from school. This is more than a great destination site like those you see served up by NASA and the Getty Museum and others. This is more than a school website like those that are celebrated by Ed World's Cool School program, appropriately celebrated. This is not a place for information about education as much as it is a place for doing education. These are online communities of learning that are centered around the local school, that are centered around the local classroom experience. It's important that you understand why our focus is there. We believe that if the internet does not return time to teachers, that there will be no ROI, no return on investment on the massive technology investments that we're making, at least not anytime soon. So we took time, as Larry highlighted, and we went to teachers, and we listened. And here's what the teachers said to us. They said, give us an education gateway that offers us well-organized access to trusted K-12 content. Give us context for the resources that are available to us on the internet. We listened, creating relevant content channels hosted by best-of-the-web partners. Teachers said, give us the ability to make our online community specifically relevant to the affinity groups that we're part of, to our states, to our districts, to our school, to my classroom. We listened, and we launched a customization system that enables teachers to manage what it is that their educational gateway serves up to their students and to their parents. Teachers said, give us ready access to state standards and activities, lesson plans, and other resources that enable us to teach more effectively. Return time to us in this way. Can I, in 60 seconds, can I gain access to resources that help me teach to a specific state standard or benchmark or learning objective? And we responded, mobilizing more than 60 teachers to create what we call the curriculum matrix. They said, give us great tools for posting homework assignments and building curriculum modules on the web. We listened, providing school notes, which you'll hear about momentarily, and the eClass Center. And this evolution continues. We just recently have been asked to help facilitate school fundraising to support local technology and education initiatives. Watch for an announcement soon. This is the process that we are part of, not only with the constituencies that we're serving, educators, students, and parents, but also with a host of prestigious and talented partners, many of whom you see highlighted here on the screen behind me. We want to touch on the role that these partners are playing. Partners like USA Today, channel host of our Hot News channel, Encyclopedia Britannica, channel host of our Quick Facts, Ready Reference channel, Education World, host of our Teacher's Place channel, Flying Rhinoceros, host of our Creative Zone channel, Smithsonian, providing remarkable content to our Discovery Adventures channel, and then other affiliations and alliances like the one with PFI, the U.S. Department of Ed initiative, bringing together parents, families, to get them involved in education. The 21st Century Teachers Network, NASSP, STEP, and project initiatives on a large-scale basis like the Mars Millennium Project, News of the Century, Sustainable Seas, the Visa Initiative highlighted earlier, and the Lewis and Clark expeditions with Smithsonian. All of us, these partners represented here, and numerous others soon to be announced, have teamed to support educators, students, and parents together and in their respective worlds of interest to make K-12 a better place to be. Thanks to all who have joined us in this exciting initiative. Dick is quickly going to take us on a tour, a brief tour, a very brief tour, of a Copernicus community. Dick?
Thanks, Jim. In my role with Copernicus and implementation and training, one of the names that I've created or has been given to me is Captain Copernicus. And to describe Copernicus in a short period of time is a challenge even for Captain Copernicus. But you know, we all know that the internet has been called the information superhighway. The world is now connected. A wealth of information is hosted electronically for retrieval from any user in any location. Thus, the internet holds unparalleled potential for education. But the internet is also an incredibly vast and confusing world of knowledge and information.
Despite the rich potential offered by the Internet, a journey into cyberspace can often be very difficult for students, parents, and teachers. So how can we assist our students to use this tool of communication information and effectively prepare them as members of the rapidly evolving global marketplace of ideas and knowledge? How can we harness this incredible potential of the Internet and use it effectively to deliver crucial information onto the desktop of a student who is doing research on solar eclipse, or deliver lesson plans to a teacher who is anxiously preparing for next day's class, or to assist a parent who so much wants to be connected into the educational world of their student? This is the essence of Copernicus: to harness the Internet for the K-12 world and enrich the educational experience of teachers, students, and parents. Let me guide you on a few examples of how Copernicus can accomplish this. Throughout our country and around the world, students in increasing numbers every day sit at their desks, turn on their computers, and with great anticipation log onto the Internet and launch their Internet browsers. What first appears is often a web page for an all-purpose search engine, or a commercial Internet portal, or maybe just the website for the manufacturer of the browser they're using. Their journey into cyberspace is often filled with great difficulty and challenge. But let's now visit the Peninsula School District in Washington. When those students launch their browsers, their own localized Copernicus education gateway becomes their starting point and connecting place to the Internet. It is their Internet homepage, and that's what you're looking at right now. Notice that first that Copernicus is localized and customized for an individual school or district. This is their customized starting place to explore the Internet, and it provides a directed learning environment to access the resources of the Internet, but it's crafted by the local educators. At the top of the main entry page is a hotbox that features content provided fresh daily by the Copernicus editorial team and our educational partners. A teacher knows that when their students log on to Copernicus, fresh and interesting options await their students daily to draw them into engaging educational resources and activities. On the right side, you'll notice our project gateways. It is here that we showcase some of the exciting activities sponsored by our educational partners and key alliances that are represented here. Perhaps a classroom will join the futuristic world of the Mars Millennium, sponsored by the White House and NASA. Or perhaps they will travel back in time with Smithsonian to retrace the journeys of Lewis and Clark. In the center section of Copernicus, right below the hotbox, you will see the channels that we have represented within Copernicus. For example, you notice we have the Hot News section, hosted by USA Today. And there you can participate with USA Today reporters in preparing for a White House press conference, or perhaps learn from a sports reporter how to prepare for an upcoming major sports event, or perhaps you want to get the latest news from a myriad of newspapers, magazines, or local community online resources. If you select the School Biz section, which is located farther down, or the School Notes section, you would receive information about the local schools and activities, as well as significant resources from state and national educational organizations. So let's take a look now at Teacher's Place. As I click on that, as a former high school mathematics teacher, I understand some of the pressures on teachers to keep classrooms fresh, relevant, and engaging. Copernicus is committed to assisting teachers through providing best-of-class resources to supplement their in-class instructional material. Notice here the extensive list of resources that are available to schools and to teachers. Many of these are provided by substantial partners that we have in educational organizations. But one of the things that is unique to Copernicus is our curriculum matrix. Suppose I am a fourth grade mathematics teacher. I can use the curriculum matrix to select my subject and grade, math, fourth grade. Next, I would see my state academic standards. Let me select number and numeration. Next, I would receive grade level benchmarks indicating what a fourth grade student should be able to perform in mathematics. This performance benchmark is also linked to free lesson plans, resources, and activities. And every school district can maintain their own localized version of this, featuring the resources and activities that they feel are important for their students to accomplish their educational objectives. This is a cooperative effort by educators around the country to identify these key educational resources and to correlate them to state academic standards. With the increasing emphasis on educational standards, Copernicus has enlisted the cooperation of leading educators to help identify those resources that will support teachers in this initiative. Another significant use of Copernicus by students and teachers is in research. So let me go to our quick facts section, which is hosted by Encyclopedia Britannica, a company with a long tradition of service to education. Suppose I'm a student and my teacher has assigned me to find websites related to differential calculus. I heard some moans there, folks. If you don't behave, I'll give you a pop test. All right, but here we are on the quick facts section. And notice that a student can first of all use search engines that the school district selects that we feel are helpful, substantial, and search databases that have already been reviewed and approved by others. They can go to online resources, encyclopedias, dictionary, homework helpers. But if I am on the quest to find information about mathematics, what I could do is immediately select mathematics. And what I have here is a web page which is devoted to math resources. Notice the first resources we have identified on there are reviewed by Encyclopedia Britannica. But then to illustrate the localized version of Copernicus, immediately below that are community-selected internet sites. So we collaboratively build these websites, this community, with educators so that we provide national content. We keep it fresh, we keep it current. But we give the educators the ability to make those critical selections of what they want to emphasize with their students. How does Copernicus help parents? Let's go to Parents' Place. Copernicus enables parents to easily participate in the educational experience of their child. Copernicus engages parents in direct communication with schools, teachers, and administrative staff. Let's take a look at schoolnotes.com, which has already been referenced. But first, let me go down this page. Notice that we highlight key educational resources that would be available for parents. And again, the local community can help craft the things that are featured for the teachers. But let's look at school notes. A parent enters the zip code of the school their child attends. I enter the zip code, I click on Go. Next, what appears is a list of teachers who maintain school note pages to post homework, assignments, flashcards, or important information for the parents and students. Let me give you two examples. For example, in this zip code, we have Miss Kenny, and Miss Kenny has, in her 6th grade class, daily placed up there information for the students and the parents to keep alerted on what's happening. And we have a feature in here such that a parent can click on the Notify Me function so that anytime there's a change on this notebook, on this homework page, the parent gets an email notification letting them know there's been a change and something's going on in the classroom page. That's one illustration. Let me go back and show you another way that this can be used. If I click on Drama Club, how many times have we had children who lost their schedules or weren't sure of what was going on? There's an opportunity for a parent to go there. A teacher could change this from home. They could change it from an airport kiosk. They can change it from anywhere, and they have immediate access to being able to do that. So far, what we have been doing is really stressing the benefits of Copernicus as a powerful tool. Let me go back to the starting points. It's a powerful tool in using technology, but we receive letters almost daily telling us how teachers and parents love the tools within Copernicus for how lives are being changed. Let me give you a few examples. One high school teacher in Florida reported that he used Copernicus extensively this past year, and the number of his students who passed the advanced placement test for chemistry increased from 51% to 75%. The national average is 58%. Needless to say, he was thrilled to give us this report. In a very personal way, the schoolnotes.com exclusive feature of Copernicus has been used to connect a parent with the child and the classroom. A first-grade teacher in Maryland reported that they were able to communicate via Copernicus with a very distant father of one of the children. The father was in a submarine out in the deep Atlantic. The students communicated with him. He was able to share about his life on a submarine. The student was pretty proud. In summary, Copernicus serves as the Internet's starting point and connecting place for teachers, students, and parents. Copernicus helps to bring order to chaos and simplicity to confusion in using the Internet in education. Copernicus returns time to teachers and provides real educational value from technology investments already made. We are proud to offer Copernicus to parents, teachers, and students within this country and within the world so that they can be connected, they can be served, and they can feel like they're really making a difference in the lives of their children. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Copernicus. And now I'd like to introduce Sarita Brown. Sarita is the Executive Director of the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanic Americans. Copernicus is dedicated to providing all members of Copernicus communities content and services in multi-languages, beginning with the Spanish-speaking community. Here to give us an update on this important initiative and the value of providing multilingual resources to the education community, Sarita Brown.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Oftentimes, when you set priorities, your talk and your actions can sometimes get uncoupled. I said often, sometimes. In this instance, I am delighted to be here and, just as all of you, hear about the power of the collaboration that has brought Copernicus to today. Because what I think we see is the opportunity that technology offers. The White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanic Americans has as its purpose to address the education of the fastest growing community in this country. Copernicus, in its strategy and its design, has made clear its ability to address the question of access, both in terms of making technology available, but then in the most fundamental way, the question of communication, how it is that the numbers of people in this country who come to this day with the issue of language as their issue, to have launched school notes in Spanish addresses a very fundamental concern for all of us who want to capture the tension and the ability of the Latino community. To have technology be the bridge to the home, to the family, is in fact one of the best examples of making sure your purpose and your actions come together. I am delighted to be here today, but I'm even more excited about what will happen tomorrow. Excelencia en Educación, the role of parents in the education of their children, has been one of the primary projects of the initiative this year. I know that Copernicus will be with us as we take this conference to Chicago and to our final capstone conference in Miami. I am particularly interested in the coming year as the White House Initiative turns its attention to a national meeting on Latino educational excellence. This today, as education will never be the same, I intend to tell the story of how in the launch of this technology, this team was able to pay attention to the power of technology to bridge those who are eager to participate and who are ready to take their place in American society. I'm delighted to be here, and I look forward to this partnership as it blossoms. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Sarita. We share your passion. One of our points of differentiation is that Copernicus began as a grassroots movement. This started in the Peninsula School District in the state of Washington. Dr. Mark Mitrovich, then superintendent of the school district and now senior vice president of Copernicus for education policy, will give you a first-hand perspective of how all this happened. Mark.
Thank you, Larry. In 1981, I was a first-year assistant principal at a small high school in eastern Washington. And one day a teacher came into my office and said, "Would you come down to my classroom? I'd like to show you something I've created." And what I saw in his classroom was a young woman confined to a wheelchair whose only means of communication was through facial expression or through the movement of her head. And what this teacher had done was written a simple program that had the alphabet scroll by on the screen. And through simply tipping her head with a trip switch that was connected to the computer, she was able to capture letters, create words, sentences, and to communicate for the first time. Looking at that young woman's eyes as she sat there in the chair showed me what the power of technology in the hands of a creative teacher could do, and no one much cared what type of computer it was or anything else. 10 years later at that same school, our students were using email to communicate with students in Haifa and Tel Aviv, Israel during the Persian Gulf War. Through the miracle at that time of asynchronous communication, our students found the emotion of what it meant to live under a Scud missile attack or to know the significance of the West Bank. What the teachers and the students and what I learned was that, again, no one cared what the technology was. What they cared about was that they were empowered, that you were never going to hand those students a textbook again, and that learning for them had taken on a totally personalized and emotional approach that they were attached to. Today I'm privileged to share with you the Peninsula Copernicus story. In 1994, I was superintendent of the Peninsula School District, and I witnessed the power of teacher pioneers who, coupled with a parent in the person of Dick Nangal, a young technologist in the person of Jim Van Eerden, who became instrumental in taking the concept and developing it out to where it truly reflected creation by educators for educators. This was the group of teachers who had initiated what has now become known as the Anywhere, Anytime Learning Program, who were searching for new ways to harness the Internet, and who, coupled with the cooperative effort of other creative minds, brought Copernicus to reality. I recently received an email from someone that I wanted to share with you today. It's from an Australian director of technology, and he wrote, "Having been involved in the construction and implementation of education-based websites since the early 1990s, I'm very impressed with the quality of site produced by the Copernicus team. Copernicus has developed a format that makes accessing and actively participating in an e-community more responsive and personalized for the end user. I'm looking forward to welcoming Copernicus into my school, knowing our learning community will embrace its wealth of resources. My students can only benefit." I've been really fortunate to see the energy, the desire that's created in students and teachers who may have been shackled under an old delivery system that was constrained by time and location and access, but who now have totally thrown those shackles off, of walking through an elementary classroom and having a student spontaneously turn to me and say, "Hey, this is cool. I've got everything I need to do my homework here." Or to have a teacher turn to me and say, "You know, I've been re-energized in my teaching and my interactions with students, and I save precious time." Together, we're sharing a new adventure with my students, and my teaching and their learning will never be the same. I've had the joy of working with these teachers who have been the focus group, who have developed much of what you're seeing on this site, who have been our strongest critics, who every time we've said, "What do you think?" they've come back and said, "We like this, but this has got to be improved." And people have responded not only within the Copernicus team, but with the partners that we work with. In 1703, American teachers at a conference were worried when one of their colleagues stated, "Students today can't prepare bark to calculate their problems. They depend on their slates, which are more expensive. What will they do when the slate is dropped and it breaks? They'll be unable to write." 250 years later, in an article in the Federal Teacher, stated, "Ballpoint pens will be the ruin of education in our country. Students use these devices and then throw them away. The American values of thrift and frugality are being discarded. Business and banks will never allow such expensive luxuries." Having spent 30 years in public education, I'm convinced that today there are some who would insert the word technology for slates and ballpoint pens. Today, the new delivery system of education is anywhere, anytime, for anyone. Speaking on behalf of the Peninsula learning community, we're proud of the role that we have played in the development of Copernicus, but more importantly, we know that the ultimate measure will be reflected in a child's world of learning, like that young woman I saw in 1981. Because of our involvement with Copernicus, our district, our students will never be the same. I'd like to now reintroduce Larry Rogers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Glad to have you part of our team. We view this audience certainly as a key audience to keep informed, also the media, and we'd like to use channels of communication to you frequently. You can expect in the next several months significant announcements coming up about new alliances, organizational alliances, and new partners. So we hope to keep you fresh with information on that front. Hopefully this session was informative to you, and now for some specific questions that you might have, I'd like to open up the floor to questions and answers that we'll be able to provide, I trust. Are there questions? Okay, well, we would certainly welcome any follow-up questions or individual discussions that you'd care to have. I see we have one from the floor. This is a good way to do it. Thank you. What does a school or a school district have to do in order to customize the program? It's an excellent question. Well, first let me answer it this way, that there is no programming language to learn. There are no years of study to learn the HTML programming languages. It's simply done through an internet resource that we allow the school to have access to, and they are able to add local content of relevance to their community. Teachers can add local content to their subjects. Most schools that have done this find it very easy to learn. We're able to teach that in a matter of several hours. Furthermore, what's powerful about that is that schools have allowed teachers then to be able to find resources and submit them for candidates to be posted to their local community. And the school administration finds it very useful for communicating with their local community about activities that are going on in the school. It's so easy to do, in fact, that in some cases, on the front page, you'll see the instant message there. Well, that's for immediate messages that the community needs to know about, such as the school buses are running late or early, or there's snow, as we experience in Chicago often. So that is able to be posted immediately, and school notes are able to be posted immediately. And this requires no technical understanding, just a small amount of training that we provide to every school. Trust that answers the question. Is there another one? After schools get linked to Copernicus, what do they have to do to get the program in operation? That's a good question. It's fairly simple. Certainly you saw the www.edgate.com. You're each able to sign on to that. After a school has customized, they will get their own unique URL address. It happens to be a name of the school that they choose, .edgate.com. So Allen School District is allen.edgate.com. Peninsula School District is psd.edgate.com. And you're able to create those, we create those, and the school then has their local community. So the real challenge and the real effort in terms of putting it in operation is providing the training and the necessary help to schools to learn how to deploy this in the classroom. That's why we're working so very closely with the industry associations and the professional associations to allow this training to become available and for people to widely know how to operate that. How are you guarding against hackers, both in your main site and when you get down to the school and the classroom level? That's an excellent question. In today's day and age, we need to put safeguards in place. We have some of the most advanced technology in our server farm, which we happen to outsource to PSI. They're a very reputable source. They host millions of internet sites and pages, and they supply technology so that our network is as secure as possible. There's always the chance of something like this being able to happen. Certainly today, in today's day and age, we're doing everything we can to assure that it doesn't. What steps is Copernicus taking to guard the privacy of school records, particularly with regard to the student history grades, medical records, and the like? That's an excellent question and an issue certainly we face today. We are not keeping any records about the individual student. We certainly, when a teacher registers, we certainly ask the name of the teacher and the school they're in, the grade and subject they teach. But as far as the individual student goes, at the present time, we're not keeping that information. It's unlikely that schools would post that information on the internet either. So we don't think that this is a challenge or a particular problem with the solution that we offer. So I don't think we're exposed to the risks of posting that kind of information on the internet. Any other questions? Okay, I think I have time for one more, and then I think we're needing to summarize. How can individual students and family units take advantage of Copernicus if their district or school is not yet? That's an excellent question. We have many, many families who are using Copernicus, and it often starts with the teacher. We have parents that often would sit down and say, I've heard about Copernicus and school notes, and have you considered using it, and show the teacher, introduce it to the teacher. So they're able to begin to experience it even though the school has not yet adopted a full customization program. And then we find often that that progresses to the family using the general Copernicus site for other purposes. So we have a way even to address families and students whose schools or districts haven't gone through an adoption of the program. Well, our time has run out. I would love to continue to talk. If I know we have some time afterwards. The other Copernicus management team are around. We'd love to have them interact with you if you'd like. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you taking time to spend with us this afternoon. Good day.